Hello everybody, today I wanted to have a look at this. This is the Game Boy player for the Nintendo Gamecube. I'm going to show you the unit itself and I'm going to show you some of the features once it's up and running. So this allows you to play Game Boy games, Game Boy Color games and Game Boy Advance games on your television through the Gamecube. It is completely region free, so it will play any game from any country. The only thing it doesn't support is the GBA video cartridges, which were basically cartoons on GBA cards. I will say, of course, as well, you will need the startup disc. If you don't have a startup disc and you just have this, it won't work. This contains the data to actually get the games going in the first place. I'm going to show you how this takes the games and how it connects, and then we'll have a look on the television. So here you can see the front of the unit. So as you see, you've got the cartridge slot for the game. You've also got this little socket here. There was a Game Boy Advance connectivity to this thing. Basically you can buy a lead, and there are certain games, a handful of games, which have some sort of, how can you put it now? You can basically transfer data. You can also use the GBA as sort of a second controller as well, which is a nice little extra to have. As a game, it's pretty simple. You just put it in, label downwards, and that's it, and it'll start playing. If you want to eject, there is of course a little eject button on the side. Push it forward, and it will come out like that. So yeah, pretty simple to use. I'll just get the Gamecube in a minute, and I can show you how this connects to it. So as you can see, I have my Gamecube here. Pretty easy to connect. All you do, turn it upside down, take over this little panel here, and you get your Game Boy player, slot it in, give a little press, and that is that. There are a couple of little screws you can obviously tighten if you want. You don't really have to, because I've had this up and not tightened the screws, and it still seems to connect completely fine. And there you go, it just basically, it's a Gamecube slightly higher, but yeah, that is that. I will mention about pricing as well. This released 2003. It costs about £60 in the UK and about $70 in the US. If you want to buy one now, they are quite a lot more expensive than that. I looked on eBay, they're between about 130 to about 150. Some of them are even more than that if you wanted them boxed. Maybe you might get one at an auction if you're lucky, but yeah, they are quite pricey now, which is fairly common in GameCube stuff, because a lot of GameCube stuff's well, gone up in price a fair bit. So yeah, that is pretty much that. As you can see on the side, and the ejector. So I think what I'm going to do now is plug this into a TV, and I can show you some of the extra features and menus and that sort of stuff which this offers. So here we are in the GameCube menu. As you can see here, I've got the Game Boy player disc inserted. If I press start here, and it should start, and yes, I want it in 60 Hz. Now I'm using Sonic Advance here as a sort of test game, because I think it's quite bright and colourful, so you'll be able to see what's going on. Oh, Sonic Team. Right, so if I start a game here, game start. Pick Sonic, obviously. As you can see, yeah, now we're into a full game running on a GameCube. Now, if I get to a point here, I can open up the Z. You press it there, and it pops up with a few different options you can have. So I'll run through a few of those. First of all is frame. Basically, you can see around the side of a screen, there's a series of, well, it's basically a frame, and you can pick different ones depending, well, which ones you like really. I usually just go for a fairly plain, like silverish one like that, but of course you can go a little bit different if you want. If you just want a plain black frame, I think it's at number 20, if I can find that. So yeah, there you go. Screen size, basically you can either go full, which was I have it now, or you can go normal, which is slightly more zoomed in. Put it back to full. That's just a change layout on the GameCube controller. So screen filter, I gotta be honest, it's sharp, normal and soft. I really don't notice much difference between any of those. I tend to keep it on sharp, but in all honesty, if you put it on soft, it doesn't really seem to make much difference whatsoever. So I'm not quite sure how exactly that one applies to the game. Timer, pretty simple. Basically, you can pick an allotted amount of time and it will pop up with a little thing saying you've played for or however many 10 minutes. Doesn't turn the game off or anything, it's just like a little warning to your indicator, as it were. And change game pack. So basically, instead of restarting the GameCube every time you want to put a new Game Boy game in, you can go change game pack and it will allow you to insert a different game without resetting the whole console. If I do that now, are you sure? Yes, I am sure. And I will plug in a Game Boy Color game so we can have a look what that looks like. So here we have a Game Boy Color game. This is Street Fighter Alpha, in case anyone's wondering. Basically, pretty much the same deal. As you can see, you've still got all the same options in there. The only difference in this one, it's displayed a slightly lower resolution on a Game Boy Advance. I think obviously due to the slightly more basic hardware, but yeah, it still works completely fine. What else to say, really? As you can see as well, it's in 4:3 as opposed to the Game Boy Advance games, which would have been 16:9. But yeah, still works pretty well. Just to leave as well, I'll show you an original Game Boy game because it sort of does colorize it slightly. So here we are with a original Game Boy game. This one is Super Mario Land 2. As you can see, it sort of colorizes it in a little bit. It's basically the same effect that if you'd put this into, say, a Game Boy Color. Because you can see the turtle there is slightly red, Mario's slightly red, and the sky's a little bit blue. So yeah, it doesn't fully colorize it, but it's you know, it's a nice effect there. Unfortunately, there's no way of getting it back to the original sort of monochrome Game Boy look, but really depending whether you actually want that or not anyways. But yeah, overall, nice little device this. As I said, if you've got quite a big Game Boy collection like me, this is definitely worth it. And obviously got quite a fairly decent sized GameCube collection as well. But yeah, nice little device this. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I shall see you next time, and goodbye.